Good to have you today at RevKevHumanMe. We have a very strong interview for you today. The topics are, to say the least, sobering. It's about life and death, and it would be best if kids under 18 were not in earshot. Mike the Plumber lays it out very, very directly, and I appreciate his heart and honesty so very much. His love for the Lord will touch your life. Please consider sharing it with others. And feel free to like and subscribe, and be sure to ring the bell next to subscribe for all notifications. Feel free to leave a comment. So I have Mike with me, and Mike, how long have I known you, Mike?
Approximately, I believe, 20 years.
Yeah, and on what kind of basis did we get to know one another?
I got to know you through an endeavor of mine when I became homeless and I ended up in a street level, and God willing, it placed me in front of Pastor Kevin here, and we got to know each other, and he helped open the door to my my quest to find God.
Well, thank you, and excellent. I have these are completely unscripted questions in the sense that Mike, you don't know these questions ahead of time. Why didn't you want to know these questions ahead of time, Mike?
I didn't want anything mentioned. I didn't want to script any answer about this conversation I'm about to have with you, Pastor Kevin. And God, it's got to come from the heart and the soul.
And can I ask just maybe some intimate questions as well? Like one, like why did you want to come and and submit to kind of a question and answer period with me?
One, it's my acknowledgement for to God. Two, uh, I can look at myself and the honesty about where I am in life right now, both in a secular manner and also in a walk with God.
Excellent. So, Mike, I had some questions for you, and the first one is the times that you felt least close to God.
That's a tough question. I believe ever since I was a child, God has been around me. Um, in my mind, I thought again a quest to find God. I've had a thirst since I was a child to know what God is. Um, but growing up, I think that separation, not being nurtured in God, um, the distance got greater, and more of the world filled me, and the the thirst to let God into my life and find out about God and walk with God was the distance. I can't honestly say where every day I was just not acknowledging God, but I did get closer to God in the last 20, 30 years. Very much.
So, again, just to kind of define this a little bit, to narrow sort of the discussion, when did you feel the least close to God?
Growing up, not being nurtured in with God.
And and what did that lead in your life to?
Just one more. Excuse me. Uh, a lot of bad decisions, a lot of world, uh, mostly bad decisions in my life, choices that I firmly believe if I was this close as close I am as I am with God now, which is not there has to be a lot more done on my part, but those choices would many of them wouldn't have happened, the bad ones.
Okay, thank you very much. And then, Mike, I had a question for you about when you felt most close to God.
Little bit challenging here. When I hung myself, I had put I've I I had a separation from my family, my wife, and my children, and it was the final one. Uh, there was I wanted to leave this world, and I had put a picture of Jesus Christ on the end of my bed and a picture of my family, and I strung myself up in a closet, and I asked God to explain to my children and my wife that it wasn't because of them I was doing this. It was because I didn't like myself. And I woke up on that floor of that closet with that rope around my neck, looking at that picture. And the rope was untied from the steel bar. It was an older bungalow house, and it wasn't one of those aluminum bars that you hang your clothes on. That was a steel bar, and I know I hung I tied a good knot. But at that point, I had a profound understanding that God couldn't do what I was asking him to do, so he did something else. And he untied that rope.
Thanks, Mike. I'm going to give you a moment. So, Mike, thank you for your sharing right directly from your heart, from your spirit, and I believe you'll be helping a number of people. I also had a question for you. When in your life did God show up?
Every step of the way, he's been there. I firmly believe that. I've mentioned something about my daughter where she was never nurtured in we were a secular family, my me and my wife and my children, not practicing or even like looking for God or going to church or anything. But like my daughter, I've always known that there's been what I call a dark side and the bright light of God. So he's been there all the time, screaming at me to get my attention.
So, Mike, is there any other times in your life where you can kind of look back and go, "This is where God showed up"?
One profound instant where it took another person to to make me realize that there was more going on to life than just being on this earth was a time when I was home for approximately 4 years when my daughter was healthy enough to come home, raising my daughter while my wife went to work, and that was a choice on both parts. I won't get into why the choice was made, but I was in the throes of my addiction, cocaine addiction, uh, smoking. The snorting had ended a number of years ago, and the smoking of that substance was I was a functional addict. If if you can understand that, I had a family, I had children, I owned my own home, and I had a beautiful wife.
Yes, but tell us about your daughter.
I, I'm about to I'm about to do that. So I'm home raising my daughter through a choice of I didn't want my daughter to go to a home and to be pushed or hurt. But I had taken her up to our master bedroom, and I had put a movie in the TV for her, and sat her on the bed and told her that here's a movie, okay, and then not giving her the I didn't believe that she could understand stuff, what I was doing, and basically I'd be pacifying her with the movie. I got my substance in my box, my crack box and pipe, and I'm preparing this stuff at the side. She was next to me, but I turned and I noticed that she wasn't there. And this is in our master bedroom. And I went, Cara, and she can still walk at this point. She ended up in a wheelchair, but I went, Cara, where are you? And I walked into our ensuite of our bedroom, and I seen my daughter in front of there's two sinks in front of the mirror with her hands. She was talking. As I approached her, she had her hands in front of her and she was praying. At that moment, I realized that my daughter was asking God for intervention with, number one, she knew what I was doing. She didn't like it. She knew it was harmful. And I firmly believe she was praying for God to intervene in this. And from that point on was when God did. God eventually separated from all the beautiful things that He put in front of me and isolated me with Him, and Him or her or whatever God is. Just, just me and Him.
So had Cara been introduced to God formally at this point?
I believe in the hospital. She it was a number like almost 2 years before the dog she was healthy enough to firmly come home and stay in our house without having to transfer to the hospital every day and stuff like that. She went through numerous operations. She was on oxygen. Uh, my daughter was born with trisomy 8. So if who's ever listening to this, they can investigate that and find out the challenges that this person has in their life. But I know that with these children, there are people that freely go to these hospitals and pray over these children. So I believe that was the only thing where she ever got like she she knew who God was because she at a young age, like a baby, people would pray over her in the hospital.
Yeah, I'm a big believer. I believe that in the I believe that prayers transfer into our lives. They have deep purpose, and um, even as we see and even as we understand the transference of evil, we see the transference of good. And I'm really curious. Can you expound a little bit on the picture of Jesus story for our audience?
I was just the smile just came on my face when I went. So the same picture that I put on my bed, I took it to my ex-wife's house and I gave it to Cara. And this picture has prayers on the back, written on the back. It was you who gave me this picture way back when. And there's prayers on that. People would own this picture from, I believe it's the 1972, and there's written prayers and dates on it from 72, 82, and we're talking the late 1990s when I received this picture. But that picture is so special to me. I wanted uh, always like my daughter, I was always worried about her having nightmares and stuff, and she has a definite concept of uh, Halloween and Christmas, so scary and happy. But I wanted I gave the picture to her. That same picture sits in her room, and at times when I get to go visit her, so I'll go, hey, there's that picture, and Carol will look at not real, and that just in her that is an understanding of what do you know, yeah, it is real, and you know it's real, and also that same picture, her nurse father was ill, and Gail said that this is my ex-wife said, yeah, Kara's nurse, her dad was, and Kara said gave her that picture to to take to the father. It was returned later, but there 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 there's that thing where uh, how how does somebody who's not been nurtured in God and the same experience I had, and her by her give it the comfort that God can give a person who's in distress. There's there's a there's a person who's totally neutral in this world, but knows that there's two sides. There's definitely a side of the walk on the earth and the heaven.
Thanks so much, Mike. I have another question for you. So, Mike, I attribute you with coining the term the God factor. Can you tell us what the God factor is?
The God factor is the acknowledgement of God when you start seeking out God, uh, and I did through uh, being isolated from all the beautiful things he put in front of me all my life. That term where I was saying he's been screaming at me since I was a child with my children, my wife, my home, my financial situation, uh, my addictions, my wrong choices. Once I started, asking God to just, I was walking separately. Well, when you're ready to leave this place, I'll speak for other people too. I think you reach out to God, and at those moments, He is there. He is there. So at that moment, the God factor. That's where I came up with God is real, and there is this going on between this secular life and myself, and it's the God factor. The God factor stepping in.
Thanks for that wonderful definition. So, I had a question for you, Mike. What has God been teaching you in recent days?
Everything. Uh, you, the minute that you yourself, the minute that the God factor, that door is open, and I started to each day do a little bit more quest, finding out about God, asking questions, attending uh, Bible study. The God factor became a bigger factor in my life, and the thirst for understanding about life. He's taught me about love, the different forms of love, the different the selfishness of life. A person. I'll go back to when I wanted to go leave this world. Wow, how selfish a thing that would have been for me to do if you didn't step in. The burden I would have put on my children and my wife and anybody that I knew that they may have thought it was their fault when they said that's why God couldn't answer that prayer. He did answer the prayer, but in a different way. He didn't let me die. And he gave me the understanding that at that point in time, I needed to pull my, if you don't mind, folks, pull my head out of my ass and realize that this isn't over yet. And I better start walking with God. And I better start learning how to keep my head out of my ass because I'm not going to die, and I've got to start getting life right. And the only way I can do this is with God.
Thank you, Mike. So, Mike, I had a question for you. Is God enough? Because the devil seems to think that God is not enough.
As long I firmly believe in anything, and I need to do more of it. I need to do more. I need to challenge myself to put. I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form, but that balance of what I say, where my life has not been acknowledging God, the balance is heavier on God's side now, and the realization that God is it's so real. The I just the other day I came to the understanding that I in my prayer I thank God for the hurt in my life because it allowed me to start looking for him. And without all that hurt, who knows what would have happened? I probably would have died from a drug overdose or some terrible thing would have happened. But the understanding that where God had to, okay, Mike, listen, I need to have a talk with you, and I need to get your attention. So the the point where another person prayed to have something stop happened, and the way God answers a person's prayers sometimes is not really, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt, but your understanding and your your acknowledgement of how to get out of that dark forest is with him.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, thanks again, Mike, for doing this. And you have a wealth of knowledge behind you. And I'm wondering if you have any words of wisdom for people who are struggling with addiction. As you mentioned already, I believe, all addiction is not drugs and alcohol. There's different kinds of addiction. But do you have any words of wisdom for people who might be struggling with said addiction?
The only thing that's going to truly separate you from your addiction is your quest to understand why you do an addiction, and you have to get you have to seek out God. God can give you understanding on all aspects of life, from love, from hurt, from addiction, and I firmly believe the tenfold. I think with me acknowledging God first in my life, my addiction has been separated from me. It will be there the rest of my life. My bad choices will be there. the rest of my life. But the more I put God in front of me, the more these bad choices will go away, the more understanding of what a terrible thing an addiction is and what it will take away from you is, honestly, folks, is God. God gives you understanding on everything, and that balance table of the God factor is big in my life, to the point where I think my last Bible study, it was something about Job and all the God putting Job in front of the dark side and going, this is my queen, like in or king in a chess game. Go ahead, challenge him. And I'm I in that understanding of what Job was going through, I thought to myself, if I honestly just just one day out of the whole existence of time, I firmly put God in front of me and totally walked through that day with everything I'm doing, the 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 thoughts and everything, and seeing the outcome. And I already know what the outcome will be, is that the God factor will become closer to being a whole number, and that number is number one in my life, God.
Thanks, Mike. So, Mike, I had another question for you. The question is, what does it mean for you to be human?
Wow. To thank God for this opportunity to meet people, to see kids, to see this beautiful creation that he God created. Uh, and it's only a short time we're here. And this walk as flesh down here, I need to see more of God's light as a human, to really appreciate everything more, and that just how fantastic it is. God's creation is not a bad thing, but you need him. And it's in the scripture. I'll show you how to walk through this creation of mine, the temptations and it, but you got to walk with me. It's a narrow path, but with me, you'll go through it and you'll appreciate how beautiful everything is.
It's a really great answer. Thanks so much for being with us, Mike. As I mentioned before, I'm going to give you the very last word. I don't know what you're going to say, so I'm bracing for it, but I'm giving you the very last word. Do you have any other final sentiments?
Yeah. You did it again, God. The more I acknowledge you and to another person, the more I can't ignore you. I can't have that thought pattern that, oh, this is nothing, like my daughter. She knows you're real and you're there. The more I acknowledge you, and that, folks, is the fear I have of God. It's not that the fear is the I'm going to lose more of the old of me, and the true identity of myself and God is going to be.
Thank you.
God.
Now is the best time to start.
Not tomorrow. Not next week.
Not until next month.
Not next year.
You have to start
right now.
So get out there and chase your dreams. Find adventure. Fall in love. Take risks.
Because trust me,
it'll be worth it, I promise.